Command codes verified. Priority 1 message from Starfleet coming in on secured channel.
Hello, Captains, and welcome
Command
to
codes
Wednesday night
verified.
recording of Priority 1. The music's still playing, damn it.
I was trying to be good.
I know, you were real good there.
I was trying to be good. Well, we have Jake here this week. I'm trying to set a good example for the guest. I'm trying, we have company over.
I see.
We have
Well,
company over.
hello, Captains, and welcome to the live broadcast recording of episode 477 of Priority 1, a Roddenberry Star Trek podcast. We are recording on Wednesday night this week because, if you weren't aware, yesterday was Star Trek Day. And with that came about 3 or 4 hours of content that was produced by CBS and the folks over at CBS All Access. So I'm sure many of you, like I and myself, were glued to your monitors, watching as much as you can as it was happening. But we'll dive into that momentarily once we hit Trek It Out. In the meantime, as you can see, Jake Morgan is filling in for Skiffy this week as our fourth voice. So thank you, Jake, for filling in. That's a lovely Dyson you have back there. It's just
Thanks.
It's a great Dyson.
I tried to get it out of the way.
That's great.
Didn't work.
I have my hat hanging in the background. Sometimes
I have my
there's
hat
stuff
ready
on my
to go,
desk.
man. I can't. I'm getting a haircut on Saturday. I can't. That's it, man.
Can't do it anymore.
I can't.
Just can't handle it. I know. I'm close. I'm close.
No, I'm ready.
I hear you, brother.
It's a combination of I don't know how to manage it, and also I just don't look good with long hair. Like at least I don't think. I don't know.
Lies.
I think what it is. See, because I have your hair and you have my hair, so I think what the problem is that up until this point you haven't had to manage it, and you haven't been trained to, and you have no idea what to do with it. And the people with the expertise that would be able to tell you this are like, we can't do that because it's COVID times.
Right.
I can't sit down with you and let you flip through the magazine and we can go over swatches for your head. I mean, that we can't do that. And so, yeah, I mean, it's not a thing we're allowed to do. So, no experience, no expertise. It's time for the Clippers to come out and just lawnmower that thing. Just
Clippers, how dare you? Nothing but shears touch this
I'm like-
this mane.
Mine's getting to where it gets stuck under my armpits, so it's about time.
So,
it's like if you're laying down and you can't. Yeah, I'm really ready to get a cut.
We've identified the danger zone, the danger area for the right. That's
That's
clearly the red line.
This, log.
When it starts getting caught in traps, then you know it's a problem.
Seriously.
Yo, what's up with these guys wearing their Priority 1 t-shirts and I'm like the one that isn't? Wow, look at
I'm not.
Utter
yeah,
accident.
I'm wearing DuckTales.
Sorry. I don't
DuckTales
have a
is good,
Priority
too.
1. I don't have a Priority 1 t-shirt. What the
You
crap?
don't? I didn't give you one in Ticonderoga?
No.
I don't think I have any, actually. Maybe I do.
That's alright.
Look, guys, I
I
got
can
a new
order
boom
some
arm.
Armada swag.
Yeah.
I'll trade it.
Oh, that's nice.
New pop filter. And, I like it.
Oh,
Right.
Ray Bosch Borg says the Picard look is way in fashion.
Let's all just shave our heads.
Yeah, just
You
shave
know
their hair.
what? So, Tony, all you need to do for Halloween to be me is to thicken your eyebrows. You just need to, like...
I just need a
Yeah,
pencil. Just a grease pencil.
that.
Just a grease pencil and
Yeah,
just like
yeah.
pull it. Yeah, just like
Go
put it up
ahead.
to here. Yeah,
Don't
it's like-
Groucho Marx it, asshole, okay? Don't Groucho Marx it.
Hey, if I'm gonna caricature, I'm going all the way. I'm going all out.
Oh, man. All right,
Alerts.
let's do a show. Everybody ready?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna hit the big red button in 3. Tony, do you mind doing the cold? Kat, do the cold open, please.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Z just messaged me the Dune trailer. Oh, dang it, Z.
Watch the Dune trailer. It's super good.
I'm going to hit the big red button in 3, 2, 1. This is Elio intro sync 1.
This is Cat intro sync 2.
This is Tony intro sync 3.
This is Jake, intro sync 4.
Okay, intro in 3, 2.
This week on episode 477 of Priority 1, we trek out Star Trek Day. More specifically, we dive deep into the Discovery, Picard, Lower Decks, and Strange New Worlds panels and discuss what was discussed during their discussions. In Star Trek Gaming, Scopely
Can you
indulges...
do that one? I'm sorry, do the, and...
More
the-
specifically?
No, the discuss is definitely a joke, right, Jake? That's what you were intending?
Yeah. Yep.
All right, so now that we know it, yeah, try it again. Give it to me.
Jake made a joke?
Now that we know it's a joke,
No.
and not a typo.
That doesn't sound right. We need to get Jake on the line and find out. Doesn't sound right at
What
all.
did you mean by this? What did you mean by this?
What's my
I think
inspiration?
you can take it and Strange New Worlds panel. I think you can take it from there.
And Strange New Worlds panels. No, I can't do it.
Okay.
More specifically, we dive deep into the Discovery, Picard, Lower Decks, and Strange New Worlds
You know
panels,
what?
and
I'm going to stop you. Can you take it from the top? It'll just make it easier for the editor. Sorry. It's true. It's true.
We're all
We're
going
only
to
talking
need some
about, like,
shrooms
4
after
words.
this is done.
This week on episode 477 of Priority 1, we trek out Star Trek Day. More specifically, we dive deep into the Discovery, Picard, Lower Decks, and Strange New Worlds panels and discuss what was discussed during their discussions. In Star Trek Gaming, Scopely indulges in shrooms, and Timeline celebrates Star Trek Day with giveaways and takeaways.
Hello, Captains. You're listening to episode 477 of Priority 1, a Roddenberry Star Trek podcast. Your weekly recap and review of all the major news happening in the Star Trek Multiverse. This episode was recorded live on Wednesday, September 9th, 2020, and available for download or streaming on Friday, September 11th. And available for download or streaming on Friday, September 11th at PriorityOnePodcast.com. I'm Elio.
I'm Kat.
I'm Tony.
And filling in for Skiffy this week is our producer, Jake.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome aboard, Jake. Hold on tight, because it's going to be a wild one.
Whoa.
Okay. Captains, each week between episodes, we love to engage in conversations with you, our listeners, on places like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So if you aren't already following us on any of those, be sure to look us up. There we post things like community questions, special announcements, and more. Just search for Priority One Podcast on your favorite social media app and you will find us. Or email us. You can reach us at incoming@PriorityOnePodcast.com.
My bad.
Over to you.
Captains, if there was anything to take away from Star Trek Day, is a sense of community. Everybody was on Twitter, Facebook, you name it, live tweeting and sharing their experiences and their feelings and their reactions as they happened during the panels. And that sense of community is really what drives us here at Priority One Podcast. We love to engage with you each and every week through places like Twitter, Facebook, our Facebook group, via email, you name it. We have a hailing frequency channel open for you to talk with us and to engage with us. So, be sure to follow us on all of those channels and be on the lookout for our community questions. If you want to get... actually... Tony, can you deliver something about Patreon?
Yes, I can. My wife just sent me an extremely distracting text that is Star Trek related, which I will share with you in a little while.
Okay.
I'm like, hey now.
What? Really?
Yeah, it is. It's disturbing. It's disturbing.
So,
but I'll share it. But where do you want me to go with it?
I was talking about the sense of community, how great it is, and then maybe if you can tie it in somehow with, how much we appreciate, of course, how much we appreciate our patrons, and
sure.
Another way we can contribute is another way they can chat with us is by becoming a patron and joining our Discord channel, our VIP Discord channel.
Okay. Sorry. That's right, Captains, and that helps us help you because it keeps the conversation going. You can join a special conversation just for patron members by chipping in as little or as much as you can. Or wait, actually, is it $10 tier?
No, it's $5 and up.
By contributing as little as $5 a month, you can join our special Discord channel and have access to our special after-hours show where our usual restrained and, a staid and boring conversation that we have during the show, just all the bets are off. You'll see us at our raw and unfiltered state in after hours, and we appreciate that kind of communication with you because you really get into our heads, and then we can get even farther into yours.
Skiffy. Jay, can you read Skiffy's part about we're also looking for volunteers?
Or you could let Kat say her bit.
Oh, my bad. I'm not looking at the document.
I've done that too. It's okay. And Skiffy did it the other day too.
I'm like the middle child, man.
You just don't scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page, and Kat's like,
I'm gonna tell my sister. I'm gonna tell my sister. I know how she feels now. But if financial support isn't in the cards, don't forget about sharing our show to all your friends. Hit that like, retweet, and or share button when you come across one of our posts, or perhaps you'd like to join the team.
That's me, I'm sorry.
That's you, Jake.
We're looking for new volunteers to join the production. Specifically, we're looking for audio and video editors. For more information, visit PriorityOnePodcast.com or email us. The address is incoming@PriorityOnePodcast.com.
Kat, can you see this up, please?
Yes. Now let's check out the latest news from the Star Trek Multiverse.
Okay, everybody hit stop.
So,
sharing.
My wife works at a hospital lab, and she's been doing a lot of second shift work, and so she's at work right now, and so a text from her is rare. Right, I mean, she's doing stuff. She's got her hands full of slides and microscopes and whatever. So, so what she sent me 12 minutes ago now is, you probably all seen this. I'm going to hold it up for the camera just for here. But it's that picture of the Star Trek Next Generation crew on the holodeck, and mostly in states of undress. And O'Brien is there in the background, looking like a lower decks person. Like, what the hell have I just walked in on? And so she's texting me this at work, and I've seen this meme before. I've seen this picture before, and it's always, haha, yeah, okay, that's very funny. Riker's the only one that's looking like he's had a good time. Everyone else looks kind of ashamed of themselves. But I noticed something for the first time when I looked at this picture. Geordi's not in it. No, what I mean is Geordi never gets invited to the cool parties, right?
No.
I mean, like he never has the girlfriend. Like he's just the engineer. No one thinks to invite him.
He's not at the poker games either.
He's
is
hardly
he?
ever. He's there sometimes, but not.
Because his visor can see through the cards.
Probably, yeah. That's probably why. But yeah. So Geordi's not in this picture. It's like Geordi got left out again. There's just no justice. There's no justice for Geordi. You know, O'Brien's there, but he's there to clean up. But yeah. So that's what my wife is apparently. She's apparently bored at work tonight because that's the text I got. So that's why I was not on my game when Elliot wanted me to ad lib something for the patrons. I'm sorry, patrons. It wasn't you. It was my wife.
Actually, speaking of, we got a pretty active chat this week. I'm glad to see that you all joined us on this Wednesday evening. I see Simi is watching us over on Periscope over on Twitter, and we've got Ray, Advisory Panda, Bread Truck. I don't think I've ever seen Bread Truck before in our chat.
Oh yeah, he's been around. Hey, Bread Truck.
And of course, David Rutley and Peter Archibald, and a big shout out to Tracy Lee Coco. What's up, Tracy? If you're still watching.
Oh, it's Tracy. I like Tracy.
So thank you for joining us. Look, guys, you know, another really important way to help and support the show is by letting everybody know that you're watching us live right now. So please take a moment as we jump into Trek It Out this week to talk about all the major big, you know, film and television headlines. Hit up your social media, hit that share button wherever you're watching us, and invite your friends to join in on a watch party. I think you can do watch parties now in some of these things, right? If you're watching us on Facebook, you might be able to do a watch party on this live broadcast recording. I don't know about Twitter. Twitch, I think you can do that too now. I don't know. But anyway, experiment. But most importantly, invite your friends.
So we're gonna do. Are we gonna do a show?
Drinking
Oh,
water.
drinking
Oh,
water.
alright.
All right, I'm gonna hit the big red button in 3, 2, 1. This is Elio. Trek It Out Sync 1.
This is Kat. Check it out, Sync 2.
This is Tony. Check it out. Sync 3.
This is Jake. Check it out. Sync 4.
Trek It Out in 3, 2. Star Trek fans are occasionally a bit entitled, and at Priority One, we'd argue rightly so. Star Trek's original series received a 3rd season and a ticket to syndication because of a writing campaign led by the incomparable superfans Viejo and John Trimble.
I thought it was Bijo.
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 Oh,
It's
yeah,
Bijo.
Bijo.
What did you
Bijo.
do? I was like, Viejo. Viejo.
It's autocorrecting to Spanish now.
I would have
Bijo.
said, yeah, like I would have said BAO too.
It's BJO.
Once I read,
Bi-
yeah, it's
Bijo and BJO. Yeah.
But once I read Trimble, I was like, wait, huh? All right. Star Trek's original series received a 3rd season and a ticket to syndication because of a write-in campaign led by the incomparable superfans Bijo and John Trimble. What?
I'm just laughing because we figured out Bijo and Viejo and that, but then you didn't get John out. John didn't roll off the tongue after all that.
Star Trek fans helped start the modern-day mega convention when, in 1972, over 3,000 Trekkies gathered at the Manhattan Hilton Hotel in New York City to celebrate our beloved franchise. We passed content droughts by writing fan fiction and creating fanzines, the precursors to the modern-day internet fan sites. Our unequaled enthusiasm helped spawn an animated series, a movie series, television spin-offs, more movie series, and even helped launch a network, UPN, and of course a streaming platform. Now that's not even mentioning the countless hours of reading, listening, and viewing content the community has generated for absolutely free. We've even celebrated a couple of unofficial holidays. June 16th has long been recognized as Captain Picard Day, thanks to its appearance in the next-gen episode, The Pegasus. And September 8th's air date of Star Trek's first episode, The Man Trap, has been our unofficial Star Trek Day. This year, the newly reunited Viacom-CBS seemed to validate and recognize its fans by acknowledging September 8th, the most holy of Star Trek days, an official Star Trek Day. The day was spent streaming Star Trek episodes, panels, and discussions to celebrate the franchise. But it wasn't purely a corporate advertisement. It celebrated the heart of the IP by once again instituting the Star Trek United Gives hashtag on its social media platforms. For every hashtag Star Trek United Gives, for every person that tweeted the hashtag Star Trek United Gives, Viacom-CBS would donate $1 to charities that champion equality, social justice, and the pursuit of scientific advancements. This week, we're going to cover the virtual panels of the newest Star Trek series, Discovery, Picard, Lower Decks, and the upcoming Strange New Worlds. But first, we want to know, how did you celebrate the first one? But first, we've got to ask, how did you celebrate the first official Star Trek Day? Let us know in the comments section for this episode at PriorityOnePodcast.com or by replying to our community question post on our social media channels like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Following a streaming schedule that featured episodes from the entire Star Trek catalog, the team turned its focus to pre-recorded panels and interviews. And the first on the docket was Star Trek Discovery. The panel was introduced by series lead Sonequa Martin Green, who presented Discovery's official Season 3 trailer before handing the reins over to host Mika Burton. It is Mika, right?
Mika.
It is Mika,
Okay.
yes.
Burton moderated a panel that featured Star Trek boss Alex Kurtzman, Discovery showrunner Michelle Kurtzman, thank you. Burton moderated a panel that featured Star Trek Box Kurtzman. Okay. Burton moderated a panel that featured Star Trek boss Alex Kurtzman, Discovery showrunner Michelle Paradise, and series newcomer David Ajala. And series newcomer David Ajala. The central point of the panel, and frankly the whole day, was hope in a time of despair. Alex Kurtzman discussed the state of the Federation, nearly 1,000 years in Discovery's future, and how Star Trek's message today jives with Gene Roddenberry's message from 1966.
I have the quote.
Pause for here.
Obviously, the Federation is.
The team
not
also
where it
discussed
was,
why the Federation.
and yet,
you're gonna play
our-
that.
Thing?
Oh,
obviously the.
Skiffy showed you the trick,
I showed Skiffy the trick.
so we're gonna hear it.
Oh, you're not going to hear it, but
Oh.
No, I'm sorry, you're not going to.
So no,
Skippy made
did
it,
not
we
show-
could hear it. Yeah.
Yeah, when Skiffy does it, we can hear it too.
I don't get.
When Skiffy does it, he does it better.
Oh, boy.
If you didn't get your weekly dose of abuse here, where would you get it?
All right, I'm gonna play a clip now. Okay.
Obviously, the Federation is not where it was, and yet our characters enter into this timeline, and the whole season is about trying to bring it back. So you're into a world where it's very reflective of the world that we live in now, and I believe very reflective of Roddenberry's essential vision of optimism, that it is in the darkest times that we have to hold that beacon of light up to guide us back.
You're good. You can go.
Oh, I can go now because when Skiffy's here, I know when it's over because I stop hearing it. Okay, I'm beating that one to death. I'll stop now. I'll stop. You're welcome. The team also discussed why the Federation wasn't in the position of power that Discovery had left it in the 24th century, except it's the 23rd century.
No, they traveled to the 24th, right?
No, it didn't.
Oh yeah, 23. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Why am I questioning you? I'm sorry.
Why? What is the deal with this? What do you mean? The team also discussed why the Federation wasn't in the position of power that Discovery had left it in the 23rd century. In the trailer,
like you're a little faster than normal this week, but that sentence in particular, I was like, "What the frack did he just say?"
So slow down.
Don't exact sweet
Oh.
Jesus. Don't be cookie.
You want me to go ahead and skip to the part where I find the happy medium? Is that what you're
Yes,
saying?
please. Can we skip?
Okay, all right. Just skip to the part.
Let's Goldilocks this right now.
The team also discussed why the Federation wasn't in the position of power that Discovery had left it in the 23rd century. In the trailer Book, played by panel attendee and Star Trek newcomer David Ajala. Okay, that's spelled differently. Is that because I'm pronouncing it wrong? Is it Ajala?
No, you were right, Ajala.
Okay. In the trailer Book, played by panel attendee and Star Trek newcomer David Ajala, notes that Starfleet suffered a decline during a period called The Burn. Kurtzman explained its effect on the current state of the Federation.
What happened to the Federation didn't happen because the Federation collapsed in on itself because there was disagreement or strife. That's not what happened. Federation was sort of strong as ever. And obviously something cataclysmic went down that changed everything. What happened to the Federation?
Oh, it's me.
Yes, it is.
So I want to take a moment here and talk a little bit about this trailer and then what they identify and label The Burn. So there were 2 points that were said that caught my attention. One was that the fall of the Federation wasn't a political thing, right? It wasn't like Section 31 tore down the Federation or whatever. It was the result of this burn, a cataclysmic event that just shook the Federation to its core. And then he also suggests that the Discovery cannot function, right? It's not just they were very specific in how they described what was wrong with the Discovery. It wasn't we're out of dilithium crystals. Well, it wasn't like they were saying, we're out of dilithium crystals. It was very cryptic in how they described the malfunction on the Discovery. So my theory is that something happens to the mycelial network, a burn of the mycelial network, that then prevents the Discovery from working at all. In addition to, of course, the collapse of the Federation and whatnot.
Well, I think the trailer solves that mystery for you because it crashes. It goes boom on the planet ground.
So what? We've seen starships crash before and lift up off the planet.
And then Goldsman goes on and says, "Well, they got to figure out how to repair it."
Right.
And then later on the trailer, you see the Discovery flying again.
Wait, so are you agreeing with my theory? I can't tell if you're agreeing with the theory.
Well, your theory could be fine. They could. My personal theory is they've left the mycelial network thing far behind. Like we shall not speak of this again. This is the warp 5 speed limit thing that we're going to be doing here now.
I don't know if the Discovery couldn't have crashed. How would the Calypso play into that? Because that's
right.
Well, wibbly wobbly, timey wimey. I mean, this is Star Trek after all.
Well, that's interesting because Luke Critter and I were having Luke Critter had made a post and I had replied to his post about about this theory about the mycelial burn. And I'm pretty sure that whatever happens, this burn specifically happens way after Picard and obviously before season 3 of Discovery, so that there is in fact no worry about timey-wimey stuff, paradox bending things.
And it would also have to happen after the temporal Cold War.
Yep.
When did that happen?
Because Daniel's that's the 30th century, so it'd be the 2900s. So they did a good thing here. This, for the first time, I think, more or less ever, I get the sense that the people running the show have an idea of what they want to do with it and are doing it. So they kicked the Discovery and its crew way out, way out, and so they can forget everything.
They're we're tired of the fans complaining about canon.
Yes, but also the characters in the universe can also forget everything.
Right.
Because as far as they're concerned, the Federation has fallen or whatever. Records will be lost and destroyed. History will be garbly. They'll be like, oh, yes, we remember a Captain Picard, but those are legends and myths of the time gone past. So they have cut themselves off from canon quite literally, and they are boldly going wherever the heck they want. And I think this is smart. and I'm really glad they're doing this. And I hope when the Discovery crashes, they completely break the spore drive. Like the spore drive will be broken, like it will be wrecked, and never function ever again. Yay! These are all good things.
No more Stamets?
No, Stamets is fine, but
He's an astromycologist.
but he'll have to like be a regular scientist now, and he can be. There's room for a Commander Data on the crew, so or Mr. Spock. They need that.
Jake, you want to say something?
Like Michelle Paradise said, I think she worded it perfectly. It's fresh snow ahead.
Fresh, yeah. Like I said, I get the idea that she knows what she wants to do with the show and is doing it, right? I have never gotten that idea before.
It's good. I'm sorry, Panda's distracting me with his no, not the shroom zoom.
Yep, the shroom zoom is gone boom. Shroom zoom has gone boom, Panda. That is a thing.
Well, in other Star Trek Discovery Season 3 news, this week, Star Trek was finally introduced to both a trans and non-binary character to the main cast of Discovery. I screwed that up. In other Star Trek Discovery Season 3 news, Star Trek finally introduces us to both a trans and non-binary character. I should just stick to the script. This week also broke that Star Trek was finally introducing both a trans and non-binary character to the main cast of Discovery. Trek's first non-binary character, portrayed by Blue Del Barrio, spoke with GLAAD.org about the role, saying, quote, "When we meet Adira. When we meet Adira, they're suffering from memory loss. They remember nothing from their past and very little about themselves. They know they're non-binary, of course, but they're cautious about sharing that information with anyone. They're a private person, so they aren't going to divulge a lot about themselves to a ship full of strangers. It's not until Adira has found a place of comfort with Stamets and Culber that they feel they can talk about who they are," end quote. Regarding the upcoming trans character, Deadline reported, quote, "Ian Alexander will play the transgender character Gray, empathetic, warm, and eager to fulfill his lifelong dream of being a Trill host. But he will have to adapt when his life takes an unexpected turn," end quote. Both characters were under tight wraps during the panel, but Michelle Paradise was able to give a small bit of information regarding their roles, saying, Paradise 1. Okay, stand by, 30 seconds.
We can't tell you a whole lot about them because that would reveal spoilery things, but they do have a very unique and specific relationship. Gray is Trill, so there's a whole Trill mythology in Trek that we're going to be leaning into with this. And Adira has a particular backstory of their own that I can't say too much about, or it would reveal when we meet them and how and all of those things. But what I can say is that both of them are just incredibly exciting actors. It's so much fun to watch them work.
The panel is chock full of great information, like why Discovery has a new logo, for instance. So, check out the hope-filled trailer and hopier panel interview, and even hopier panel interview by heading to PriorityOnePodcast.com, where we'll have the links in our show notes. I do want to take a moment to discuss this. Anybody have anything to say about this?
I was gonna say the logo change is absolutely indicative of what I said earlier. They're cutting off everything that's connected to season 1 and 2 and starting over brand new, fresh.
It's only the third season. It's a good time to do it.
I do hope that that's the case. It is thrilling, absolutely thrilling, that they are introducing into the Star Trek storyline both trans and non-binary characters. I am apprehensive about it, though, because let's not forget how Culber was fridged. Let's not forget how he was killed for no particular plot reason other than to stab us in the heart. And so I am hoping that they will be able to present these characters respectfully and creatively, right? It's got to be both. Don't pigeonhole them in stereotypes. Tell their story, right? That's what I'm hopeful for these two new characters. Go ahead, Tony. Or any... Jake, you're muted.
Oh, okay. Thanks. My concern is that they're both being introduced at the same time. I hope it doesn't feel like it's shoehorned in just to kind of cover all of its bases. But I will say, in defense of Discovery, like we've said several times, it's under new ownership. It's a different show than it was in season 1, and it's a different show than it was even in season 2. I'm willing to give them a chance, and I don't see why they wouldn't learn from their mistakes.
I hope so. I kind of disagree with the way that these characters were introduced, in that it seemed like maybe not the best way to go about announcing it like that, but...
What do you mean?
Well, it's just, hey, check out what Discovery has now. We got all this. We're being super inclusive, check out what we... it seemed like way to lead with that, when maybe they could have did that a different, more respectful way, possibly. I just hope they're not trying to oversell it, and I'm glad they're doing it, but did it really have to be like that?
They're walking a fine line here, and
yeah.
And so on the one hand, like I said, I feel more confident just watching that panel about so there's good leadership, like people have a direction and are going that way. Whether there's going a good direction will remain to be seen, but we'll happen to find out. Remember the schedule we're on. It's season 3. Star Trek series are supposed to be traditionally good towards the end of season 3. So I imagine we're going to see some more groaners and eye rollers during the process, and then at the end of season 3 we'll go, you know what? Okay, all right, they got the groove. They got the groove.
Stop excusing Star Trek. Stop excusing these statements of Star Trek always has to find its footing in 3 seasons. Stop it. We can't do that. We can't afford that in today's television. We just can't.
Yes, we can. They've made season 3, so clearly they can afford it. And also, there's 3 other Star Trek series out right now. I don't know if you noticed. So they can afford it. They really can afford it.
I mean, literally, they can afford it. But I just
they can literally afford it. It's really, money is no object here. They can pay for this. It's okay. But and it just the shoehorn thing. Yeah, that's what makes me worried. On the flip side of it, is that it's like there's gonna be a twist, right? Like there's a twisty twist coming. Because if we told you too much about their characters, we'd reveal too much about the plot. Well, then we're not getting to know a character, we're getting to know a plot.
Right.
They're gonna be a device, right?
Right.
Yeah, and I don't want that. If they're a regular, recurring character, they need to have substance and be treated respectfully. Yeah, and be part of the crew, everybody else.
This is what they're bringing to the team. They're like Stamets. We just talked about Stamets. He was the mycologist, astromycologist, stuff like now. If they break the sport drive, and I really hope they do, then he'll have to be like an officer. Like he'll have to be maybe in the chain of command. He'll have to be the science guy. He'll have to be the guy that does particle physics and warp engineering. I don't know, whatever. So if they're going to be characters, they need to be contributing to the show and to the team. Not just big twist in episode 6,
Right.
Yeah, what Ruby Mad Hatter just said. They just, it's not shouldn't just be checking off a box to say, oh, hey, we included all the people just, in this one episode or whatever. But yeah, just represent fairly and truly, and that's what we want to see.
We had a very similar discussion about this when there was some talk about Kirk coming to Strange New Worlds, and there was, we're gonna make Kirk bisexual or gay or something or whatever. I'm just like, fine, that's neat and all, but are you doing it to have a twist, or are you doing it because you think that it helps the character or the plot, or are you just doing it just to do it?
Right.
So that's a concern.
Jake, unless you have anything, let's move on to the next story.
Nope.
We're going to skip over a few panels this week and cover the new stuff coming down the pike. Sorry. We'd certainly suggest you check out everything offered on September 8th, but since our time is limited, we're going to skip ahead to the history and see what the Strange New Worlds crew had to say about... I totally lost my place. We'd certainly suggest you check out everything offered on September 8th, but since our time is limited, we're going to skip ahead to the history and see what the Strange New Worlds crew had to say about the upcoming show and Star Trek's future past. Mika Burton once again moderated the panel, this time with series leads Anson Mount, Rebecca Romaine, and Ethan Peck, as well as series EPs Akiva Goldsman, Henry Alonzo Myers, and writers Akila Cooper and Davy Perez. After some really interesting and fun anecdotes about how the show came to be, series EP Henry Alonzo Meyer discussed the format of the series.
Okay, play that.
One of the most exciting things about this was coming into the room and interviewing all the writers and basically saying, hey, we want to really do Star Trek. We want to do Star Trek in the classic mode, Star Trek in the way that the stories were always told, that it's a ship and it's traveling to strange new worlds, and we're going to tell big idea science fiction adventures in an episodic mode. So we have room to kind of meet new aliens, see new ships, visit new cultures. Audiences are sophisticated, and so if Kirk falls in love and the love of his life dies one week, the next week he's going to still feel it. And that's the thing that we really wanted to kind of carry over, is to bring a modern character sensibility to the kind of classic episodic storytelling.
Do not skip watching the full panel. Anson Mount recalling his conversation with an apple-eating Alex Kurtzman is worth the price of admission. We'll embed the video on our website, so be sure to head over and check it out.
Jake, this goes right along with what you said, right? Episodic storytelling with a memory. Is that what you said?
Right, yep.
They tried to say that, Jake, but they did not make word good. They did not word put together in order sequence.
I bet they would have spelled Bijo right, though.
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
I don't know, but I like the panel. I thought that was probably my favorite panel.
Yeah. That was
Oh my gosh.
It was one of my favorites for sure. I mean, but you kind of get like Kurtzman obviously is the deal maker. If he sold the show in 2 days, if he calls him up and is like, well, we got a show when they're still filming. They're still filming.
Right. That story about.
Yeah. I mean, the story's good, but no.
I'm a little kind of sad that it wasn't more like it was because of the fans. And like
I think they could feel the magic like I mean, obviously something resonated if they're like, oh, this is legit, let's do this.
So I'm gonna credit the original sin of the Discovery pre-production, right? Like, it was a show that didn't know what it was going to do. One of the original pitches or ideas or things that came out was an anthology series. And I think one of the things that they thought they'd be doing is spending a year with Captain Pike. So they had all this stuff kind of on the cutting room floor and spec scripts and writer Bibles and all this kind of stuff laying around. And when they were trying to pull the eject lever on the corner that they had painted themselves into in Discovery Season 2, because they fired the showrunners in the middle of Season 2, and I got the whole vibe of Season 2 was eject, eject, eject. One of the things they were scrambling around for is like, if this crashes and burns, what should we be doing? And people were thinking a Captain Pike show for a long time.
I actually think before any of this went down, this was a plan, because if you remember, Akiva Goldsman talked about how that's what he thought Discovery was going to be.
Because
and then they built these
was a
huge,
rift.
these big, expensive sets, and Anson Mount wanted to send them off in a good way. Kurtzman knew they weren't going to send them off. He was already working on getting a pilot. I think this thing was in development since they had taken over on Discovery.
And it's got to be when they're in the middle of production Season 2. They were scrambling. They're like, and the crew. I mean, Mount clearly the role works for him. I mean, there's
gosh.
Oh,
there's just
my
no
God. He's
argument
amazing.
about that. The role works for him. And then Rebecca Romaine comes in, and Ethan Peck goes, I'll be convinced. I'll be convinced eventually. He won me over more on the panel, but when they were talking about the pre-production stuff, like making the series come to life, this was in the works when they were, like Jake said, building the sets, and when the fans got a hold of it, and my son's sneezing over here, and when the fans got a hold of it, they greenlit it at that point. It's like, it's testing well. People are responding to it. We're looking for more content on. I'm seeing this on my screen here. We're looking for more content. Stop having a nose, son. We're looking for more content on CBS All Access. We need to fill time and fill air. Sets are built. Actors are cast. We've got a crew that knows what they're doing. Easy money.
I'll take this last one since you.
Since
Actually,
I talk a lot.
Pat, can you take it again? Can you take this next one again?
Sure.
These next two.
Star Trek Picard's panels. Dang it. Star Trek Picard's panel was moderated by Will Wheaton, starred Patrick Stewart and Jonathan. Oh, whoops, my bad. Star Trek Picard's panel was moderated by Will Wheaton, starred Sir Patrick Stewart and Jonathan Frakes, and was titled Picard and the Next Generation Panel. So if you're thinking the news might not be groundbreaking, you're probably pretty perceptive. But that's not to say Sir Patrick didn't deliver. When asked about what's to come, Stewart unleashed some pure hype.
The first 4 episodes are unlike anything that I've read before for Star Trek. They're extraordinary. The complexity, the characterization is so intense. The unexpected situations. I can't wait to begin.
Where things got interesting was the Lower Decks panel. Yes, we're halfway through the season, but that doesn't mean there isn't more story to tell. Prior to releasing the mid-season teaser, showrunner Mike McMahon spilled some Trek nuggets ripe for the dunking.
So coming up in an episode, we do have John Delancey joins us, and he is playing Q in a small part. The whole episode isn't about him, but it's hard to make a TNG era show and not have Q show up. So I think an eagle-eyed viewer will be able to catch his appearance. In the same episode, Kurtwood Smith plays a tough alien named Klar. I don't want to reveal too much about what he does, but Kurtwood originally played the president of the Federation in Undiscovered Country in Star Trek VI. So, we try to cast some legacy Star Trek voices, not just in the roles they originally played, but in stuff they're the perfect voice for, even though it's a new role.
The mid-season trailer shows the aforementioned legacy actor and offers a look at the back nine of Star Trek's newest animated offering. We'll, of course, have a link in our show notes, so be sure to check out both panels.
All right. I want to take a step back here a moment and talk about Star Trek Day in general, right? I tweeted about this last night because at the end of the day, I felt charged, right? I felt it was a feeling somewhere between being at a Star Trek convention like STLV or a local one, and somewhere between that and, oh, look, the world's not going to end today. The president's not going to let the West Coast burn. Like, it was somewhere between those two feelings. And I think that if that's what CBS All Access was going for, then they hit the nail right on the head. This did not seem in any way, shape, or form as if though they were trying to get our money to line pockets. It was almost like a Jerry Lewis telethon, maybe. Like, it just felt. There was a good part of it that felt wholesome. And for a moment, I felt happy with a collective, right? Like, we were all just collectively happy watching these panels.
Well, Resistance is feudal.
The Resistance.
I
for
was
this
happy watching them.
So, it's not often that you'll hear me say it, but kudos to CBS All Access and the marketing team for putting this together, because it did not seem like a money grab. They weren't pushing CBS All Access. Like, it wasn't like subscribe. As a matter of fact, what they kept repeating time and again was hashtag Star Trek Gives. It just felt good.
I credit the hosts for that. Like Mika Burton, she was great. Will Wheaton, oh my God. I mean, what's not to love about Wesley Crusher? But they were both great, you know? I mean, they were enthusiastic and knew what they were talking about. They were good. I watched it even though I was quote, working. I watched it all day.
I credit the editors.
There was good editing. There was good editing.
I'll tell you, I mean, there are only a couple of places where it looked a little like jumpy, but what they're doing is they're editing Zoom meetings. Right. So I mean, that, which is like got to be a special circle of hell. And I think it came off pretty good for the raw material that I'm sure they had to work with. It came off pretty well, and the sales pitch, quote, that you didn't feel and didn't hear and didn't perceive, was because the assumption is, why wouldn't you be here? We got so much fun stuff going on. You mean you're not already here? Well, you really ought to be. And on the one level, we're already fans and we're already subscribed, so yeah, that's how we're feeling. But on the other hand, this was more of an invitation rather than a sell. And they are telling you, look at all these great things we have coming. Look at how excited the people who are making it are to make it for you. Why don't you come join us? It really, they didn't have to walk a line for this one. They knew the ground they were treading, and they just did it, and it worked.
Jake, did you want to say anything?
I just agree 100% with what you said. It felt refreshing. It was just a joy to kind of experience it in a way that only 2020 would allow us to, because we can't get together and do things like this anymore. So this was the
kind
best
of a
way.
Blessing.
Right. This was the best way that they could do
yeah,
this. So.
You know why? Because they didn't have audience questions, which are so awkward and weird.
Right.
That's maybe, actually, yeah.
Because, you know, when you're at a con, you're just like, oh, God, don't ask.
It's
oh
that
God.
Question again. Yeah.
Well, it's funny you bring that up, too, because it didn't feel, especially the panels like Voyager, and then there was another one with
Enterprise.
And
that one. Yeah.
Right? It didn't feel like they were rehashing stories, and I mean, you know, people watching and friends of the show have been to several conventions. I've been to several of them now, and they kind of end up telling the same stories time and again whenever they get up on stage.
They're performing,
in a group, and they're performing, but this felt more intimate. It felt more personal, almost.
The Takei one, for sure.
Yeah.
It was amazing. Like, it was really good. You know, everyone was all, Shatner's not going to be involved, but that Takei was great.
People have had to spend the last few months learning how to stay connected like this. We have a little bit of an advantage because we do this every Tuesday night. We've been doing it for years. So, I mean, we doing this have kind of an advantage over them. These people are just learning, right? And so they're taking this new experience and they're kind of sharing it with everybody with the help of an excellent editing team, as I mentioned before. But that comes through because this is now how they connect with their old friends now. How my mom, we played cards like basically in a Roll20, basically a Zoom meeting thing. So I think that came through with the panel, and it worked.
To Maul's point, the Enterprise panel, I never really seen those guys talk together. That was really, brilliant. I'm like,
home run. The way he ended that discussion about how he asks people, how are you going to make change? How are you going to fight for change? I mean, you know, he's if you follow him on Twitter, you know, at conventions, he's a goofball. Definitely, you know, not. You know, he's not as straight arrow as you might think, right? He loves to play around, but when he needs to get serious, that was an excellent excellent statement that he made.
And to kind of highlight what Tony said, to their performers, and they perform generally at a convention. They're getting paid to be there. It's a show. But I feel like we're sitting in their living room having a conversation with them because we're sitting in their living room having a conversation.
Or their bedroom sometimes,
right.
depending on who. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Part of the game is figuring out what's on their walls and who has what behind them.
Yeah, who was it that pointed out Mika Burton? The background color was very nice, and she's like, "Well, that was my parents. They painted the wall that color."
Kat, to second your comment, Mika Burton did a phenomenal job. First of all, I didn't know that she was in the public spotlight as a cosplayer and doing her own thing. I had no idea, but we've had some hosts in the past, doing Star Trek, official Star Trek after shows and things like that just
didn't have it.
Did not have it. But Mika Burton, you could tell she was a little nervous. She was obviously reading from a script. She wasn't looking straight onto the camera. But my goodness,
that's polishing stuff. That's polished stuff.
She was her chemistry with everybody was amazing.
But she probably knew half of them because her dad.
That's true. That might be
Absolutely.
true.
No, she seemed a little nervous, but she got real comfortable. She was eloquent. She was.
And this is an experiment, right? This is the first time people have sort of maybe done this on the scale that this was done. She just did some polishing, and this could be her career. I mean, she just needs to knock off a couple of rough edges and
yeah. I hope that they bring her back for more things. I really do hope that they bring her back for more things.
Oh yeah, and Will Wheaton announced he's going to do the Ready Room now after all the Discovery Season 3 and all kinds of stuff.
He's a veteran, and he's been around the conventions and around these people. They're comfortable with him almost instantly, so that's a no-brainer too.
Oh, and how emotional was his panel with Sir Patrick? Yeah, oh my God, that was
Jonathan
so touching.
Frakes, yeah, that was very nice.
it was so good.
I'm keeping an eye on the chat, and people are pointing out some of the obvious absences, particularly from the J.J. Abrams Kelvin timeline, right? We didn't see anybody or hear from anybody from that universe.
Were they missing? Did someone miss them? I wouldn't say I'm missing them, Bob.
Well, perhaps not, but
BS
I do want to point something out. Something that I did walk away with after this panel, after this day of events. Every panel, except for Lower Decks, talked about the importance of Star Trek and its place in science fiction literature and film as a mirror to what is happening around us in the real world.
We gonna fight.
Everybody focused on that, focused on what's happening socio-politically right now in the United States and around the world, about health. Every single panel, except for Lower Decks. Lower Decks was just ha 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 ha. Right?
We gonna fight.
But I also paid real close attention to Rod Roddenberry, because Will Wheaton asked him ultimately the following. I'll just play the clip.
But in our private conversations and in our public conversations, I have always felt that you have incredible respect and care for the legacy of Star Trek, and specifically the Roddenberry vision that powers and drives Star Trek. And I would love for you to talk about how that expresses itself in your life now with productions that are currently in pre-production and that are being filmed.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you putting it that way. Absolutely. There's, what I've learned over the many years is there are many versions of Star Trek. They're all Star Trek, but there's many ways of looking at it. And I would consider myself one of the more hardcore Star Trek fans when it comes to the philosophy. I enjoy the philosophy in Star Trek more than I enjoy the science fiction, because I've heard these stories my whole life of fans coming up to me and saying how their life has been impacted, as both of you have. So I want every Star Trek, all future Star Treks, to impact people in this way. And so I'm very proud that I think Star Trek in many ways is still carrying that on. But I'm very proud. If Star Trek isn't making you think, at least consider a different point of view, I'm happy to say it's not Star Trek then. Star Trek should at the very least get you to look at something in a way you haven't before. At the very least. If you think it's just entertaining, I'm happy for you, but then something's amiss.
So that's when science fiction works at its very best, right? Where it can be entertainment for one person and the person sitting right next to them is seeing an incredible message about inclusion and diversity or challenging the status quo or any of those things that science fiction does.
No, I know we're long. I know we're super long. I knew that Trek It Out was going to be long this week.
Oh yeah.
So
no, all of it's good.
So you know, the one sentence he says is, if Star Trek isn't making you think or consider a different perspective, then it's not Star Trek. And look, I do my very best to avoid the whole thing about, oh, this is Star Trek, this isn't Star Trek. I'm going to first of all, he's the son of Gene Roddenberry. If anybody's going to have the authority to say something is Trek or isn't Trek, I would think that it would be Roddenberry, right? But let's just put that aside. I think that what he says not only applies to Star Trek, but applies to science fiction in general. Science fiction, the best science fiction has always been a allegory and a tool to educate through entertainment, right? This goes back to theater of education, theater to teach, right? That is the tool that Star Trek has been for a long time. And this goes in stark contrast
define
to what
this.
an old man said on Twitter a few days ago. Mr. Bill Shatner decided to make a statement that Star Trek, his Star Trek, the one that he starred in, was never political. Now, look.
Hang on. In defense of an old, gray, grumpy man.
Don't tell me
hold
that
on.
bullshit.
The word I think he should have used is partisan.
Right. They never argued Republican and Democrat.
I think that's what he should have said, but because there's no filter between his brain and his thumbs, what got put in there was political. Because the rest of the tweet goes on to talk about how he's like all social, things and social commentary. I'm like, do you not understand what definitions of words are? But I mean, he's wrong, but he just chose his words very poorly. And
I hope so. I really do.
That's really what I think.
Because what my takeaway from that is that we're going to get a lot, and this also goes to what Rob said. Rob, this also goes a little bit towards, this also applies to what Rod said. There are going to be people that are going to take what he said and hang on to it.
They didn't need him. They're already thinking that way.
I get it. But anyway, the point is that this is where I think personally, and we'll get to that as later, where I think a show like Lower Decks fails, and where I hope, and where Discovery has failed in the past, and hopefully in season 3 will move us back towards helping us to think differently. Because I didn't think differently in season 1 and 2 of Discovery. Maybe a few of those scenes with Anson Mount, some of those scenes and moments that he had about, when down on New Eden. Yeah, that was a great episode for that. Right, Anson Mount was that hope, right, of what we've been talking about. But I haven't found that in Lower Decks. And I think
You're not gonna. It's not there for that. Star Trek is all those things that Rod said and what you're saying. It's 100% all those things. But you know what also Star Trek is? It's people. And people who take themselves far too seriously wind up taking themselves far too seriously. The job of Lower Decks is not to hold a mirror up to Earth now in the 21st century. Like a lot of the other panels said, I feel Star Trek holds up a mirror, all that kind of stuff. That's not Lower Decks' job. Lower Decks' job is to hold a mirror up to Star Trek. and it does that, and it does it extraordinarily well. And Rod's name is on Lower Decks. He approves. It's okay with him, and it's there. And that the Lower Decks panel was my second favorite panel, and Tawny Newsome is my new best friend.
She's great.
So yeah,
keep doing that. Sorry, Tony Newsome's fantastic.
Well,
which if she can throw off L cars in a conversation like she's just talking, she's my new best friend.
Well, I think we should save the Lower Decks conversation for on screen coming up just after we cover Star Trek gaming news. Oh look, I managed to do a sweep. Everybody hit stop.
That was good. It was a good sweep. It was a good sweep.
Good sweep.
Good sweep.
You done good.
All right. I'm gonna message Roscoe right now and tell him that we're done with Tio and that he should probably start.
You should.
Hey, Roscoe. Yeah, Roscoe, find a time machine, buddy.
Create a pocket universe.
Yes.
Right. It's
Time
not,
stand still.
Tawny Newsome's not the one doing the new podcast. It's
Yes,
Mariner.
Yeah, she is.
Oh, is
Yeah,
that the
that's
same
her.
one?
That's her.
Oh.
You're confusing her with Tendi. Tawny Newsome
Tendi.
is the voice of Mariner.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I am.
Tawny
You're
Newsome.
Right, Ray.
Tawny Newsome stole the show in Space Force. She stole the show from Steve Carell in Space Force.
Oh, that's who that is. I thought
Yeah.
she looked real familiar. I loved her
Yeah.
in Space Force. She did
was
steal it.
super
With her-
good.
Yes.
With-
Oh man,
yeah.
she was great.
Oh yeah, she's yeah.
That panel was very funny though. There were a couple of times
Was
where
good.
I laughed out
love-
loud. It was very, very funny.
I love the guy that plays Rutherford. I just love
Yes,
Rutherford. That guy is hilarious.
When Jack Quaid goes, I was really offended when my girlfriend said, "Oh, they got your body on him."
That was right.
And when he did the most Boimler thing ever by asking for homework, and the guy goes, "Okay, so I'm going to give you a list of episodes you all have to watch." You're like, "Way to go, Jack! It's extra work."
So good.
That's the. Yeah, like I said, that was my second favorite panel.
Yeah, that was funny.
All right, you guys ready for gaming?
Almost.
It's a long track.
Long
Took a
export.
That is a long
time to export.
Upload, my friend.
You know, Jamal, it's like everybody's an asshole in Lower Decks. In this episode they meet an entire different crew, right? And even on that crew, on the Vancouver, everybody's an asshole on the Vancouver.
That was the point.
Yeah, but that's my point from last week. Everybody's an asshole.
Surrounded by
I'm surrounded by assholes.
Fantastic job by the audio team on that one. That was awesome.
Tony and Kat don't know what you're talking about because I don't think they listen to the show.
Oh no? You don't know what you're missing. The hosts are great. It's awesome.
What show?
Our show.
Ours.
Oh yeah.
I don't always listen back to this show because I've got another show that I've got a quality control over. on
Another
the
great
other
show.
side. I assume that when the people put together this show, they do a fine job. The assumption is that it's an
Guys,
excellent
give me a moment
show.
here a second.
Well, we'll give 2 moments.
Oh, I need a
You
moment
and your
too.
gallant crew.
Y'all
So,
make good radio because I need a refill.
Come on, Jake. Let's make some good radio.
Yes.
You and me, man.
Yes.
You against
all
the
right.
world.
Let's
You
talk
and
about
me.
burgers.
Yo, that's- I wasn't gonna bring it up, but if you want to, then I guess we can.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
So yeah, the Strange New Worlds panel I think was my favorite just because it's like
Mine too.
it's like, oh, they're gonna make a Star Trek show like we haven't seen like in forever.
Cannot wait. I'm so excited for Strange New Worlds.
Yeah, that one's gonna be. I'm pretty hyped about that one. But the Lower Decks one was. It made, you know what it made me want? It makes. They were talking in the Strange New Worlds. Goldsman said he was already pulling for a crossover between
Yes.
Pike
Yeah.
between Strange New Worlds and Lower Decks.
Yeah.
No, we need a crossover between Picard and Lower Decks, because if the timeline works out, these guys would be like sort of in their prime,
And Patrick Stewart's a great voice actor. He does a lot of voice acting work for Seth MacFarlane.
Exactly.
He's fantastic. Yeah, he's really good.
Exactly. So
Yeah,
what
yeah.
needs to happen, and I'll go either way. I don't care what happens, whether they animate the Picard people or whatever. But it would make more sense. It would make more sense for the real life, for the actors from Lower Decks to put on costumes and show up on the Picard set in Toronto or Vancouver, or whatever it is they film.
Yeah.
They put a little age makeup on them. Pad out their uniforms just a little bit.
I don't see why you can't do both. Have them
Why
go
not
back and
both?
forth. Yeah. Go back
Porque
and
no
forth.
los dos, right?
Right. I don't know what that means, but I'm in.
Why not both is what that means. Why not both? And so,
Alright.
So I mean, can you imagine like the whatever ship the oh sorry, I was about to say the La Serena. I was going to get my ass handed to me. But can you imagine?
We're just calling it the La Serena until
The
he gets
La
back.
Serena, yeah. Like he'd hang up his phone and turn right around and go, "What did you say?" Now, can you imagine La Serena breaks down or gets shot or whatever, and then along comes this dumpy old Starfleet ship that nobody cares about?
Yeah.
Like he's just doing again the thankless work of whatever, and it's Captain Mariner and First
That would
Officer
be
Boimler.
That would be awesome.
Chief
That would be
Engineer
awesome.
Rutherford and Dr. Tendy. I mean, can you and they got to pull him out of the gutter. Like, we didn't think anybody would be out here. We're like, well, everyone's forgotten about us because we've been doing this thankless mission for a year, and so that's why we don't have a cloaking device. We're just ignored. I mean, it would be.
Love
it would-
it. I love that idea.
Yes. I
it
like
would
the
be
show we're
just
making.
perfect. I love
Yeah.
the show we're making. I mean, it would be just mwah.
Yes.
Yes, that's what I want.
One adjustment. Boimler has to be the captain, and Mariner has to be the first
Oh,
officer.
no.
Hell no,
Happen.
no,
No.
no, no. Forget
Yes.
it.
Yes. No. I'm in. No.
No.
Oh, and now hang on.
All right,
hang
I'm
on.
on
No.
board.
Pitch me, Jake.
Okay, because Mariner never wants. She doesn't want to rank anyway, and she's not going to sit on the bridge while Boimler goes down to the planet. So you need to have Mariner as number one, and like always having the right choices, always saying the right things. And Boimler just messing up, and she's basically running the show, but like he's got the pips.
Because he always wanted the pips, and she didn't want the pips.
Hello?
Okay, maybe. All right, maybe.
You're a bit low, though.
You're a little bit low.
How about now?
Yes.
Okay, better.
All right. Tony, can you just say this week in gaming news, and then I'm gonna say something about Star Trek Online.
Are we gonna? Can we hit the big red button?
Yeah, when you give me a second to cue everybody.
I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry.
That's his producer thing going there, Elio.
Sorry.
That's like he's like, you do need to hit the big red button first. Just remind. He's just reminding you. Don't be offended.
That's a good.
He's just
you're
doing his
right,
producer
you're right,
thing.
you're
He's just
right.
checking the list.
Sorry.
You're right. Thank you. Thank you. I'm gonna hit the big red button in 3, 2, 1. This is Elio. Star Trek Online News, Sync 1.
This is Kat. Huh? Gaming news, Sync 2.
This is Tony. Someone's reverting to old habits. Thing 3.
This is Jake. Gaming news. I'm not going to sleep tonight because I made Elio mad. Sing 4.
Gaming in 3, 2.
And this week in gaming news.
Well, Captains, as we mentioned all throughout Star Trek Day on Tuesday, September 8th, one of the highlights was that CBS was donating $1 for every person that tweeted hashtag Star Trek United Gives. Now, whether or not it was an oversight or something they actively failed to promote, Star Trek Online certainly did share panels, but there was no mention about Star Trek United Gives, which is incredibly disappointing. As a result, we're still not going to cover Star Trek Online or the Inquiry and whether or not it's character bound or why on God's green earth it's in an R&D pack and not something that you can buy on the C-Store. But we'd love to talk about all of those things. Unfortunately, supporting a movement like social equality, social justice, is just far too important to let slip under the table. So, let's move on to other gaming news.
Do you want me to go? Want Cat do it? Want Jake to do it? Jake do it. Jake should do it. Go,
Yeah,
Jake.
sure. Jake, go.
What am I doing?
You're reading other gaming news.
Okay.
It's in the salmon box.
In gaming news, consider the following scenario. You have a successful Star Trek themed mobile game set entirely in the Kelvin timeline. You want to add content from Discovery, whose third season starts this October, but your game is Kelvin timeline only, and not to be Kelvin timeline.
Oops.
And to not be Kelvin timeline only, you have to add that content from Discovery. That captain is patch 22. And we know 2020.
Yeah, hang on. And I need to improve the joke here.
Got it. Okay. That captain's is called a patch 22.
But
now we know 2020 has been a bit much. Believe it or not, it's only been 2 weeks since Viacom CBS gave Fleet Command developer Scopely free reign of the franchise's TV and film content, and we weren't expecting anything to follow so soon. Surprise! Fleet Command Patch 22, which Scopely announced on September 8th, will begin the game's first prime timeline story arc in the era of Discovery. Michael Burnham, Stamets, Saru, and the NCC 1031 itself joined Fleet Command's playable roster, with new random anomalies and story missions available through a Disco-specific battle pass. The patch will also improve the user interface for battle report storage and guarantees an Exchange Armada spawn rate in all Exchange systems.
And that brings us to our next community. So that brings us to our next community question. If you're not currently playing Fleet Command, does the new Prime Timeline content make you more likely to pick it up? Remember, let us know in the comments section for this episode at PriorityOnePodcast.com, or if you aren't already, be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and wherever you get your social media news, because that's where we post these questions. Kat, why don't you read the next one?
Okay. The Timelines one, right?
Sure.
All right. Fleet Command isn't the only Trek game getting in on the Star Trek Day festivities. Until September 15th, Star Trek Timelines is bringing back player-favorite temporary achievements for increased grind rewards. However, these achievements now have tiers, so the more tasks you complete, the more dilithium and premiums you earn. The Timelines team also put together a special version of their bi-weekly in-game care package and took the time to share their thoughts on what working with the Star Trek property means to them. For Timelines communications lead, Shan. Is that a thing?
Shran? Who? Wait, what?
Huh? I don't understand what that is.
Is Shan the...
Shan? Is that their name?
No.
It might be their...
There could,
like their screen name?
Okay. Oh, I don't know. Is it Shran or... Hey, Advisory Panda. Shan, it is Shan.
Oh, it is Shan. Okay. For Timeline's communications lead, Shan, quote, Star Trek represents hope. Hope for a better world, a better future, one we can all have a hand in creating, end quote. I didn't say Shran.
I think it's Shran. Is it Shran? I think it might be Shran.
No, he says it's Shan. It says it's definitely not Shran.
I'm reading it Shan. I'm reading Shran. I'm saying I just read him say it's Shran. Well,
I
that's
do
all.
love Shran.
Well, that's all we have to cover this week in Star Trek gaming. Now, let's look on screen for the... Is this the 5th episode or the 4th?
5th.
Now, let's look on screen for the 5th episode of Lower Decks. Everybody hit stop.
Yeah.
So how's the new drive system working out for you guys? Good? Everybody find everything okay?
Yes, great.
Yeah, I'll accept the Zoom meeting invite, which is on the Discord.
Why? Wait, why? Was it on a document before?
It's in the calendar, but we don't have a calendar anymore.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, I can invite...
That's why I asked for it last time.
Oh, I see. All right, so I'll redo the calendar invite with all the new emails. I was like, why is she asking for the thing? I thought How? I didn't realize that you were using the calendar. Good for you. Nobody uses the calendar. You and me are
Where
like the
else
only
are you
ones.
gonna
Way to
get
go.
the thing? I didn't know.
Way to
Is there
go.
another place the thing is?
It's saved in your Zoom. If you download the Zoom app.
Oh, I don't have that.
Okay.
Oh, that's why. Because I have it. I have it saved
For me,
on my Zoom.
yeah. For me, I just start Zoom and it's like join a meeting and you have the drop down
no.
menu and it's like every Zoom meeting you've ever been to.
Yeah, no, I don't do that.
All right, on screen 5 AP477 underscore.
Oh, whoops.
All right, I'm ready when you guys are.
Just a second.
Actually, I'm curious if my input got missed. If my
Okay, ready.
I'm just hello. Did that?
Me too. Hello.
Did that affect
Hear
me
you.
any differently? Is that? Do I sound different to you right now?
Not particularly.
No.
Okay. What the hell's air mouse? Why do I have an air mouse showing? Oh, I do know why I have an air mouse showing. I know what it is. Air mouse. Every time I think air something, I think it's Apple, but it's I have an air remote that I bought. All right, you guys ready?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna hit the big red button in 3, 2, 1. This is Elio on screen. Sync 1.
This is Kat on screen. Sync 2.
This is Tony on screen. Sync 3.
Jake.
Or this might be Jake on screen. Sync 4. Except he's muted for some reason.
Muted, but I did say it.
Okay. On
Sorry.
screen.
Good job, Jake. Good job.
Mute is my nemesis.
What?
Mute is my nemesis.
All right. On screen in 3.
He doesn't
2,
think your nemesis is very good. He doesn't like
3,
your nemesis.
2, 1. Computer. Set Lower Decks, Episode 5, Cupid's Errant Arrow. On screen. Bloop, 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 bloop.
This week, Boimler wants to prove his girlfriend is real while Mariner isn't having it. Tendi and Rutherford work hard for the new Casio T88 algorithmic scanner. All that was funny. All while the Cerritos tries to negotiate how to save a planet.
Was it Cat? Was it?
That was funny.
He was like, that was funny.
It almost makes up. It almost makes
me
it.
laugh. Robot.
It almost made up for his
humor.
Trek Nuggets thing earlier. Almost.
No, it almost made up for the discussion of the discussions. Discussions.
Discussion of the discussion of the discussion.
Ha 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 ha. You want some more? All right.
Do you want some more?
Commercial.
Commercial. All right. All right, captains, let's go through this. All right, captains, let's go through the statistics. This episode was written by Ben Joseph, directed by Kim Arndt, and premiered September 3rd, 2020 in the United States. There's no point in trying to list all of the Easter eggs because, let's face it, Lower Decks is nothing but Easter eggs. So, let's jump right in. Kat, why don't you tell us...
Say that like it's a bad thing.
I know. I'm like, but that's what's fun about it.
That's the only thing that's fun about it.
I
But
know,
let's
Some people have alleged that.
let's talk about this episode in specific. Kat, why don't you tell us what your favorite scenes or moments were?
All right. Favorite scene absolutely is the flashback with Mariner and her awesome hair, and what happened to her bestie and.
On Deep Space Nine.
On Deep Space Nine, I know. It was, yeah, that was great. 'Cause you could see, Deep Space Nine in the background. And I do love Rutherford and Tendi and the T-88s. was really funny.
All right, what about your Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
So, all right, what about your least favorite moments?
Yeah, I didn't enjoy the pantsing of the girlfriend because obviously she didn't have a tail because she had pants on. So I don't know that was necessary, but
Barb tail, Barb. Ah.
I know. Oh my god.
No.
Yeah. So I didn't enjoy that. I thought that was just a bit much. I mean, they were already taking it a little past the okay point, but yeah.
All right. Overall, what did you think? Overall for the 5th episode, how does it stack up to the rest, and what's your star rating, 1 to 5?
I mean, I feel like it's definitely, finding its groove, and I really enjoy, watching every episode. So if I was going to rate this one, I'd call it, a good 4. I liked it. I thought it was good.
All right.
But, a takeaway to go with is, if it's too good to be true, there's a parasite involved.
Words to live by.
Words to live by. All right. So, look, Tandy and Rutherford, for me, are the redeeming qualities of this show. I like their enthusiasm and their excitement, their wide-eyed nature of things, their innocent nature of approaching, their innocent feelings about being in Starfleet and aboard the Cerritos. And even in some of the absurd moments, like Tendi slapping the officer aboard the Vancouver because she thinks she's dreaming, she slaps him. I thought, it got a chuckle out of me. So I like that. Other than that, this show's still not doing it for me. I'll put it to you this way. After an episode of Lower Decks, I immediately put on the Orville. That's what I've been doing to compensate. They
are a balancing act. It's true.
I just think that you could be funny and absurdly funny while also having a point. Because this whole arc with Mariner, with the whole arc with Boimler, Mariner, and Barb, nothing felt original about it for me. I mean, of course it's funny when it's funny because Tawny Newsome is funny, right? She is doing well with what she's being given, and she's going even above and beyond. That one cutscene where she's like, "Get out of the way, Jennifer." Supposedly that was ad lib, right? Which is funny and hilarious, and she does really well with the role. Their voice acting for this is really good, right? You can hear the chemistry between them, even though they're not even in the same studio. They're all recording in their own closets because of COVID, right? So I'll give them that. But like the whole Boimler being jealous about the coworker, I mean, I literally just saw that in an episode of Dick Van Dyke. That's how old that joke is. Like, just I'm kind of over it.
What you're saying is it's the timeless theme that generations of people can relate to over and over, no matter their age.
Is it a timeless theme? Is it something we love revisiting? Jealousy, unfounded jealousy.
In an office comedy, it's timeless. Always there.
I this week especially, I started rewatching the Orville because, as absurd as the Orville can get, it knows how to deliver an undertone of thought, right? An undertone of making you think, while still being stupid funny and toilet humor funny.
It's literally the flip side, the negative of Lower Decks. That's literally, they literally are the two sides of the same coin. And they've approached the problem just in a slightly different way. How do you hold a mirror up to the Star Trek universe and occasionally point out how silly pieces of it is? And they just approach the problem from different ways. Seth MacFarlane loves Star Trek and couldn't get the license, right? And so he had to make a parody of Star Trek, which just can't help telling the subject of the parody how much it loves it so much. I love you so much. It comes through in the Orville every episode. With the Lower Decks people, they're like, yeah, we love you, but hey, you know what? You're silly. And we're going to show you exactly how silly you are sometimes. Okay?
And I'm
we
okay
love you.
with
We love you,
that.
buddy. It's like what we do to you, Elio.
But
every week.
I am so well. Then how are you surprised that I hate the show? Why are you surprised? So,
Touche.
I am A-okay. I am A-okay with making fun of Star Trek. I am fine. I think that's actually the redeeming quality of this series, is that it can make jokes about the planet where you can't play ball on grass, right? Like those are funny. Those are really funny moments. I don't know why we have to sacrifice thought for that. Jake, what did you think of the series, of the episode?
Of the episode, I think I would rate it like a 3.5, a 3.5. It was fun. It was funny. I loved the flashback to DS9, and it's most people really love that scene, but it's kind of a morbid scene. There's really nothing funny in that scene.
Which scene?
It's the one where
the guy gets his face torn off or whatever. Yeah.
He gets his face torn and then he eats his girl, and she's got blood all over. It's a mess. It's a hot mess, but it's just a fun scene.
I do like it gives Mariner some background,
right,
as
and a
to
little
why
depth.
she's being so crazy,
Right.
I want there to be more flashbacks like that.
I know.
Yes, me too.
When she said, "I've seen some stuff," she has seen some.
Right,
stuff.
right. I want some Family Guy cut flashbacks, right? I mean, that's what I want. I mean, oh yeah, I remember that happening, and then you flash back to that thing. I mean, yeah, that make that part of the formula.
I agree.
Again, do episode 3, cold open that has nothing to do with the show. Roll the credits, do the thing.
We didn't have a cold open this episode.
No
cold open.
No cold open.
Kind of bummed me out. Yeah,
Which bummed me out too.
The formula needs to be cold open, credits, a plot with pairing off one lower decks person with one upper deck, one bridge officer. Then the B plot with some of the other gang thrown together like that. There needs to be a Mariner flashback of the time when that happened. When that, because that always does happen. Back on the keto. There needs to be a back on the keto moment. in every. I mean, but that's that. But I feel like they're approaching that groove though. Once I imagine like around season, hopefully, fingers crossed, around episode 6 or 7, we're gonna see that formula sort of borne out. And then we can complain in 5 years we'll complain it's like the Simpsons, and the Simpsons did it. Oh, they did that in season 4. Oh, they did it in season 2. I'm liking it more. I'm liking it more the farther we go.
I'm enjoying it.
Go ahead, Jake.
So I think the thing I enjoyed least about it was the Tendi and Rutherford stuff, and it wasn't. I actually really liked the officer. I thought he was hilarious. Like, what did he say? I could only take so much excitement.
Yeah.
He was great, but I thought that Tendi and Rutherford were just kind of devices in the whole show, which is kind of a bummer because those are 2 of the best characters.
So Tony, tell me more about why you liked this episode.
Because they're finding their groove. The groove is.
Well, what was your favorite? What was your favorite scene, and then your least favorite scene?
I don't know if I had a favorite scene. I mean, I got a lot of little laughs throughout the whole thing. I found the whole thing amusing. I think I did. I kind of I did roll my eyes a little bit at the. It was towards the. Hang on, it's towards the end. I was preparing for this moment. I didn't write it down, but I was preparing while you guys were talking about the least favorite scene.
Dare you not do your homework?
What?
I put
when
the
parasite when they get the parrot lover.
I totally love that. I absolutely love that. No, it was right. It was right before that. I remember what it was. It was right before that. No, the part that got me, like when Mariner walks in on Boimler naked in the chair. Like Boimler would ever do that on duty.
But it was the parasite though. That could be the parasite, right?
Maybe it's the parasite. Maybe that's the parasite.
It was the parasite because he,
Well, but I thought the parasite just made other people like him. Like he didn't know,
maybe.
right? He wasn't.
Yeah, maybe.
He wasn't doing anything different from what the Boimler usually does.
He is a young man. I mean,
a hot beer. I mean, cold beer.
Look, it's got these moments that I did laugh. Like I laughed when Boimler shows up on the shuttle and he stumbles and he's like, "I thought you were the sex," and it was this weird quote that he says, and Allie and I now walk around the house going, lover, 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 because of that little stupid parasite
But
thing,
you
right?
resent it. You don't want to
I
like it.
resent it. I
don't want to like it so
resent
much.
I do. First of all, I don't like it so much, but I resent laughing at it because it's just, it's
jelly
it
beans,
is-
man.
Yeah, but you know what?
Colorful and
You
fake
enjoy
sugar.
your jelly beans. I'm gonna have my
love the jelly
Doritos with the
beans.
Orville. All right, I think we've covered this episode pretty well, right? Anybody have any last minute things they want to say about this particular episode?
Get out of my way, Jennifer.
I do want to say Jamal has a point that the captain did. She was kind of awesome in this episode because she was like, "Wait, there's 2 people on this planet. Bye."
I like when she goes, "Will you shut up so I can think?"
Yeah.
Man, I don't like The Office. Like, that's the thing. I don't like The Office.
Then
I don't
show
like
is never
people
going
who
to
are-
land for you.
It's not going to land for me, and that's
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
It's
Not everybody
okay.
likes The Office.
I
It's
will
fine.
be the naysayer. I will be the everybody's an asshole in Lower Deck. Everybody on every ship is an asshole.
That's true. There's no arguing that. They're all
There's
pretty
just-
awful.
The
Yeah,
Vancouver,
it's true.
everybody was mean, or the captain and then the Barkley lookalike mean, super mean.
Docent or docent. Something.
Yeah. So anyway, well, I think that's it for this week's on screen. What do you think, Kat? Go ahead, wrap us up.
Is that me? That wraps up this week's on screen for Star Trek Lower Decks. Now let's open hailing frequencies.
Oh, we don't have that.
Oh, we're
No.
not doing that. Psych.
Sweet.
Well, that wraps up this week's on screen for Star Trek Lower Decks, and I can't even talk. What are we going to talk about?
That
We're gonna go to
How
closing.
about that wraps up this episode, and then you close it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because we don't have a sweep, right? We lost the sweep from feedback. So
Yeah.
I guess it just moves. All right, everybody hit stop. That's a good point.
What's my
We don't have a
purpose
sweep.
here?
It's so good.
You're laughing at it, and you just like, but you
I'm
hate
not-
the fact that you're laughing at it.
Look, man.
So
Funny. If they're good, whatever.
This jelly bean is so sweet and
just-
delicious.
I-
It's
No, it's
orange
not-
flavored.
it's
Oh,
not at
I
all
don't
that,
want
man.
to like it. Oh, it's not orange flavored. It's orange dreamsicle flavored. Oh,
I'm not
I don't
saying
want the
it's
vanilla
not
in
funny.
there.
I'm not saying it doesn't have its moments. I'm not saying that. From a script analysis perspective, right?
Oh,
Putting my theater background to good use, I just don't understand what's the conflict? What is motivated? Like, I also don't get the relationship between these characters. Like, it's almost when Mariner first started her obsession over Barb, it didn't. If there's this weird are they or aren't they kind of thing when I really don't think they are. I think that they're just really just supposed to all be friends. I don't think anybody's going to end up with anybody at the end of this. But I don't know that the writers know how to handle that. Platonic relationships.
She did in the very first episode decide that Boimler was her project. She decided that Boimler was going to be in the captain's chair. She decided that. And if he gets his brain sucked out by a parasite, then her project is wrecked. So go with that. Try that on for size. See if that works for you.
I'm still
And then
just
put
gonna
the
cleanse
jelly
my
bean in your mouth and chew it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a jelly bean and I'm gonna cleanse my palate. with- Look, man, don't call him.
Delicious.
Whatever. Fucking hate this show.
He doesn't. He just doesn't want to like it.
It's
He can't.
no,
He
it's-
can't.
I just said it. It's funny. It has its moments where I go, haha, and it's got it right, but it just doesn't have a point. It makes it so much more interesting for the listener. Like it just. All right, I'm ready for closing. You guys ready?
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna hit the big red button in 3, 2, 1. This is Elio closing sync 1.
This is Kat, closing sync 2.
This is Tony, closing sync 3.
This is Jake, closing sync 4.
I will not take the blue pill, David. I will take the red pill. I'm not sheep. I'm not a copper top. All right, I'm going to hit the big red. Oh, yeah, I already did that.
Yeah, we already
in
did
3, 2. Well, that wraps up episode 477 of Priority One, a Roddenberry Star Trek podcast. But there are more great shows available to you on the Roddenberry Podcast Network. Just visit podcasts.roddenberry.com for a complete list. Then be sure to subscribe to them all and share them with your friends.
And we can't forget to send a special thanks to some of our Patreon supporters like David K. Retley and Peter Archibald.
And a shout out to George, who became a patron. Can you believe that?
Thanks, George.
After coming on the show, after sharing his story, he decided to be a patron. Now he's in our Discord channel, and I mean, what a great guy. I mean, seriously.
The
George,
best.
send me a
The
friend
best.
request in game. We'll play TFOs.
Jake, why don't you read the community question?
Okay. And here's a reminder of our community question for this week. How did you celebrate the first official Star Trek Day?
We had another community question on the gaming thing.
Okay.
I'm trying to pull it up.
Sorry. Sorry, I'm just gonna find it.
Make the good radio like this. La da 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 da.
Whoa, whoa.
Come on, Google.
Good radio. Whoa, whoa.
Okay.
You got it? Okay, thank you. And here's a reminder of our community questions for this week. How did you celebrate the first official Star Trek Day? And if you're not currently playing Fleet Command, does the new Prime Timeline content make you more likely to pick it up?
Captains, it's important to us that you get your voice heard and that you participate in the conversation. Leave us a comment on our website at PriorityOnePodcast.com, on our Facebook page at Facebook.com/PriorityOnePodcast, or find us on Twitter and Instagram at PriorityOnePod.
If you're still craving more, be sure to spend time with Winters, Anthony, me, plus the rest of the Priority One Armada. Saturday nights, the Armada broadcasts live to review the latest news from Star Trek Online and the Armada community, including spotlighting some of our amazing members. With regular giveaways, there's something for all STO players, whether you're new or a veteran. So follow us on all our social media accounts for broadcast times, and if you'd like to join the Armada, visit PriorityOneArmada.com.
This episode of Priority One is brought to you by our patrons through Patreon.com. Captains, during these difficult times, we understand that it can be hard to find the extra cash to support artists and producers like us. So, if you cannot, don't forget that we are always looking for volunteers, whether it's audio editing, video editing, helping us with our social media, helping put together the show. We're always looking for people to contribute. Think of it like community theater. If those of you who may be familiar with that format of entertainment. Community theater is really not for profit, right? Nobody makes money putting on a show in most community theater and most community theaters throughout the United States. We do it because it's a labor of love. So if you want to join the team because you're as passionate as we are about Star Trek, then reach out to us. Incoming at PriorityOnePodcast.com, or just find us on social media and reach out to us.
Oh, it's me. Don't forget to tune in to Priority One Productions' Guard Frequency podcast at guardfrequency.com. Each episode, the Guard will take you inside the universe of your favorite space sims, including a tabletop adventure played out by your hosts. And Heroes Rise brings you up to date with the world of Dungeons & Dragons. Learn all about the latest publications, tools, tips, tricks, and traps in less time than it takes to skin a wyvern. Head over to heroesrisepodcast.com to discover their secrets.
Thanks to our audio editors, including Gray, Brandon, William... What?
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 Even I heard it and shocked myself. Thanks to our audio editors, including Gray, Brandon, William, Rand, Daniel, Roscoe, and Skiffy. Thanks to our producer, Jake Morgan, and associate producers, Shane Hoover and Thomas of the Priority One Armada. Together, they help us organize and write up our summary of the weekly headlines from the Star Trek Multiverse. And Jake, thanks for being our fourth voice this week.
It's always a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thanks to our social media manager, Anthony Cox. Thanks to our graphic artist, Henry Pomper, with support from Jason Smith of the Priority One Armada. Thanks to the composer of our theme music, Chris Watts. Most importantly, a big thanks to you, the Star Trek community, our listeners, because without your ongoing support, none of this would be possible. Everybody hit stop. All right. I don't know why people say I have no joy, Jamal. I have joy. I find joy in a lot of things.
Finds joy in being contrary on this one. Sometimes it's fun to be the spoiler guy.
Like, I suppose it... Yeah, maybe. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe I just want to be that guy. It's not...
It's
not,
fun to be that guy sometimes.
I don't want to be that guy. I wish I could love this show.
Is it like Darren Downer? Or
Yeah, he's Darren Downer.
Derek Downer?
Derek
I don't
Downer.
know.
Yeah. Have you ever met a Derek that isn't a Downer? Yeah, it's Derek Downer.
Yeah, no, I haven't. Actually.
Jake's laughing because he knows it's right. Sorry if there are any Derek's in our live chat right now. But you bring yourself down every once in a while too. You're like, ah, gee. You look in the mirror and go, ah, gee, maybe I shouldn't be.
Don't be such a Derek.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, Captains,
Okay.
that's it for this broadcast recording of Priority One, a Roddenberry Star Trek podcast. I want to thank you all for joining us on this adventure this week on a Wednesday. We hope that you all enjoyed Star Trek Day as much as we did, and all the awesome stuff that was released and teased. Everybody's gonna be doing after hours now. I have to head out, but the team's gonna move on for our patrons and our Patreon exclusive podcast that we call After Hours. So, if you haven't already thought about becoming a patron, maybe consider it. It's just $10 a month. All right, guys. Say goodnight, everybody.
Hi,
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Command codes verified. Priority 1 message from Starfleet coming in on secured channel.